And welcome, everyone. We are live one more time. Tilson Live. It is today on Facebook, on YouTube. We are so excited to be here today. Super excited that you'll be joining us. We're going to answer tons of questions. Please, as you jump into the chat, tell us where you're watching from. We want to know what questions you have, where you're watching from, where you're building, and what kind of things you might be interested in hearing about building a custom home on your land. But first, we are joined, as we are each and every week. But she's at a remote location. We can't tell you where. It's top secret. But Dawn Dantzler, our director of marketing, is here live. Hello, Dawn.
Hi, Eric. Hey, everybody.
Well, thank you for joining us. I know. So which of our illustrious offices are you hiding in? Maybe they'll have like an hour to go try and find you.
I am in Melissa. I'll be here for the rest of the afternoon.
Melissa, Texas. Okay, so yeah, Dawn's at our location just north of Dallas, up there, up the North Central Expressway. Used to be called Old Highway 75, but when they made it wider and really nice and really pretty, they had to name it something very pretty. So now it is the North Central Expressway. But anyway, so you folks hop in, tell us where you're watching from, tell us where you're building. Well, Klondike, Texas. Okay, Will. Oh, and we saw Will gave us a picture. He gave us an interesting picture this week. What did he give us a picture of? I think it was an ice cream maker that we joked about. Yeah, I think it was.
Kelsey was out there taking lots of pictures of his house, and then we got more ice cream maker pictures. And I think actually, Will, we're going to be talking about your house next week.
Oh, very exciting. Okay, where else are folks watching from? Okay,
Virginia, Delaware. All right.
Yes. I've never been to Virginia, Delaware, but I've been to
both individually.
Virginia and Delaware and in between. In Steakhouse next week in Myco. Very exciting. Awesome. Yeah, keep jumping in. Tell us where you're watching from.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas to Evant. I will tell you the terrain is actually quite similar from Las Vegas and Evant, Texas. It's not a lot different. But as far as amenities and things to do go, there's a lot more to do in Evant, Texas than there is in Las Vegas. A whole lot more. It's a very happening town. Never sleeps. It's very exciting.
Hey, Jesse. Jesse's saying hello.
Hey, Jesse.
We got Cynthia from Dickinson.
Cynthia, is there any rain in Dickinson right now? Is it raining at all? We're curious if it's
I don't think it's raining anywhere in Texas. It hasn't for months.
Perfect. Perfect. It's the middle of July. It's the middle of July, so clearly it's not raining anywhere. It's very dry.
Wow. Yes.
Very dusty. Yeah.
In the dry season. We've got Jerry building in Whitney, Texas, watching from Irving.
Awesome, Jerry. Thanks for joining us. Love Whitney. So pretty.
Courtney's building right outside of Marble Falls, ready for stakeout.
All right, Courtney. Yeah, Marble Falls is great. Very nice.
Oh, hey! Foundation. Yay!
All right, Don. Wonderful. Thanks for sticking with us and tuning in.
Robert agrees it's not raining.
Howdy from Helotes. Good to see you.
Watching from Dallas, building in
Canyon Lake in Lavon. Okay.
All right, Barbara just signed to build a Whitney D in San Marcos, Wimberley.
Awesome. Yeah. Greater Hayes County. Excited about that.
Cynthia says it rained last week.
It rained all week. Yeah.
All right.
It did.
Lisa joining from Medina. Building the Granbury. Cool. Awesome.
Yep. So yeah, keep putting these in. We want to know. There's things more than Nydia.
I'm actually in Nydia's office right now.
Truth be told, Dawn.
Where I am.
She actually stole Nydia's office. So.
Yeah, that's her picture. Kicked her out.
Creedmoor.
Mr.
Ojeda, thanks for joining us.
Don is shouting out to Eli and Matt.
There we go. Yeah. Very good builders. Poolville, Texas. Fantastic.
Oh, look. Linda's saying nice things about us. Love the videos.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you so much for watching. So you guys, we are here today for y'all to ask us anything you want. So drop your questions. And so we have something to talk about.
So today, building in Grapeland. We love it.
All right, stakeout. Awesome. Let's see. Melissa's in Bastrop. We to clear the underbrush so we can figure out our house placement.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yep. Get into that cedar.
Got Edward from Buda.
Awesome.
All right, Jesse from
Yeah,
Liverpool.
way to go to construction. All right, Jesse. So are we. We're excited about that. She's got
Oh,
trout
Cynthia,
fishing.
no. She says it's storming in Dickinson. No.
Yeah.
We don't like
It's
that.
a thing.
Make it
It's
stop.
a thing. Yeah, there was like this weird meteorological thing happening off the coast of Port Aransas down there, and it was like every morning for like 2 hours it would just rain and rain and rain and rain, and that was there for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and anyway, so yeah. But yes, as Dawn said, today's theme is Ask Us Anything. It can be about the meaning of life. It could be about, the weather. It could be about material prices, availability, labor. It could be about design stuff, about fun stuff. It could be about site preparation. It could be about septic. It could be anything you want to talk about within reason. We are prepared to talk about it.
I think you and I could probably talk about anything, but
we could. We could do phone a friend.
Yeah.
We could phone a friend. We could do some 50-50 process of elimination. But truly, what we want this to be, this is for you guys. This content is for y'all. It is to make sure that y'all have the best information, the latest information, the most relevant information possible to make good decisions about building a custom home on your land. And it is very, very challenging. It's more challenging now than it's ever been, which is kind of paradoxical, right? Because it seems like stuff's being bought everywhere.
Right.
But it's weird
part of what makes it so challenging.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lisa is going to start us off. She just had her soil samples taken. So what comes next?
Okay, Lisa, great question. So to give folks some perspective, because not everybody is under agreement with us. So what has happened up to this point for Lisa is she has picked a floor plan out, made changes to it. It's all been priced out with her sales consultant at the respective office in which she's working. And then that's gone to our design draft department. They're working on the plans for that. And then she's been contacted by our land preparation specialist. We've met her out at their site, decided where the home is going to be, staked the corners of that home on that piece of property. And then obviously it was cleared enough and she had good access. Thank you, Lisa. Where we could get out there and actually get a truck of some sort up onto the site where we could extract some type of soil sample from inside the footprint of the home. Why is that? Well, soil acts differently and with moisture, lack of moisture. So it does different things when it has a drought or when it's moist. And so we want to test it. We want to find out what exactly we're building on because it can vary quite a bit from obviously across the state of Texas. It's big, almost 900 miles across. But also even just from site to site, even on a site, it can vary. So we want to be sure of what's happening. So what comes next is they are testing it. So they're doing things that we all like to do as kids, like take dirt and roll it into like a line. I know that sounds real silly, but like on a tabletop, that's one of the tests they do. They put it in the oven, they bake it. They basically see how it's going to perform in various conditions in an environment that they can control. So they're doing that at the same time. What I don't know is if you've already signed your plans, if you've approved your plans. If you've done that, then what happens? If you haven't done that, that's what comes next. You approve the plans. Probably finalize your colors if you haven't done so already. And also, once those plans are approved and finalized, they will order the foundation design, the actual engineered foundation design. But we can't order that until the customer has signed off on the plans and it's not making any footprint changes. So that's what happens next is engineered foundation design, plan approval, color selection. That's it.
All right, awesome. Courtney is asking about appliance options. How extensive are our options? Is it just Frigidaire? And are there any black stainless steel available?
So Frigidaire is going to be our widest selection of what we're able to get, which is a whole different animal these days. Stuff's not nearly, that's one of the things that's been the most difficult actually to get is specific models of appliances. Now, that being said, the supplier that we use is a retailer for other brands. Frigidaire and its parent company Electrolux are who we can get probably the best deals with, that we have the most leverage with as far as an agreement standpoint and availability. But there are other brands out there that our supplier gets. They're not as in good supply. So and I think I don't know if Frigidaire has a black stainless steel, but I do believe our supplier has an option. So, but reach out to your design consultant and we can do an inquiry with our supplier to find out what their options are for black stainless.
Okay, perfect. And then Courtney's also asking, do we have any black tile options for bathrooms, mudroom spaces?
Whew. I actually don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know about black. I know I've seen it for backsplashes. I don't know about floor tile.
But I will write down and
like
we'll find
farmhouse pattern that's white and black. I don't know about a solid black.
Yeah, I haven't seen an exclusively black tile, but I have not been looking for one either. So it doesn't mean it's not in one of our design studios somewhere. So I'm assuming she's talking about like floor tile, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm assuming floor tile.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of that we've had remotely close to that in history has been like granite tile, and I've seen Black Galaxy or Nebulous Black granite tile that we've done. But it's very, very when it's done is very slick. It'd be nice to have kind of a suede finished tile if we're going to do that in a black.
Okay. And then we have a question about whether a CAD floor plan of the canyon is available so I can do my lot layout, as we were planning on building a metal shop at the same time.
Okay, Mr. I Am Second, 2011. We don't, I mean, obviously we have digitized drawings of our plans, but that's not something that we are able to send out. Unfortunately, those are copyrighted. We don't share them out. Not worried about you in particular doing anything with it, but that's not something that we don't send our CAD files out. So no, there's not one available. But we can actually help you with that. I mean, it sounds like you're getting pretty detailed on that. And when it does come the time for us to submit to, if there's an architecture control committee, I don't know if there is or not. Maybe there's not, but if there is, we're going to handle all that for you as well, as far as placing all of that on a drawing and submitting that. So
yeah, well, we can definitely, to do the lot layout, we can definitely give you the dimensions of the footprint. Yeah. All right. Will is asking, does Tilson still do air return vents in each room? I saw a video on that from a few years ago, but not sure if that is still standard. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and it's basically it's for sure every bedroom will. And in most cases, if it's like a study that has a door on it, it's going to get it as well. You probably won't see them in like bathrooms, walk-in closets. It's not going to be in those. But definitely all the bedrooms. For sure, hallway, like the main one's going to be there. And then, yeah, bedrooms and any large rooms that have doors on it, exclusive of bathrooms and closets.
Okay, perfect.
And we don't put them in the utility.
Not the utility room. Okay. Alma is asking, how long does it take for the home to be built? We just had your contractors come today for framing. Oh,
well. If we're framing the house, that's a very good sign. That means you're through the foundation phase. I mean, right now, Alma, depending on where you're building, it's long. Unfortunately, it's a lot longer than we want it to be. And I want to be sure everybody understands, at least at a high level, our Tilson's business model. Again, whether you're building with us or someone else, we want you to get the best information you can. The way our business works is we don't get paid for building your home outside of cash deals. We're getting paid along the way, but for most of the deals we do, which people are getting a mortgage, we don't get paid until the home is completely finished. So it behooves us to get the home built and finished to your satisfaction, because we don't get paid until you go to closing. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, when I say it's taking a lot longer than we'd like it to, number one, we want our customers to be happy, but number two, from a business standpoint, we like the houses to get built, because that's when we actually realize revenue. That's when we get paid.
We are very motivated.
We're very motivated. Yeah, we're very motivated to get your home built. So how long it takes, Alma? I mean, right now we're telling people I would prepare for about 9 months of actual construction. Now that includes prepping the foundation, getting the foundation in, getting the slab poured, and you've already passed. You're into that time frame at this point. We do have some that are being done in 200 days, in less than 7 months. But I don't want people to plan for that. I mean, if it happens, fantastic. But there is a lot of unpredictability out there. And something else to consider, and I'm glad you asked, Alma. I want, Dawn, talk a little bit about what they might see. Like, are all the windows going to show up? Is all the paint going to be there?
That's usually.
I'm riding around. What did you see out there?
Yeah, so in a normal times, building a home, which I think we can all agree we are not in normal times, we would make sure that a job, the first part of the job is completely done. All the windows are in before we move on to the next phase. When we paint your home, everything's going to be painted all at the same time, and you wouldn't see anything that looks unfinished. Right now, just because of the supply chain issues and the labor issues that we're seeing, sometimes it might look undone. So we're seeing deliveries where we might be a window short. So to make sure that your house keeps going, they might just cover up that opening in your house so they can move on to the next phase, because we don't want to delay moving on while we wait for that window to arrive. Or if they run out of paint, which is happening more often than we'd like, because we would like that to never happen. But you might see part of your house painted, and would just go ahead and let the painters do the job while they're there, call them back when the paint comes in. So it's going to be a little more hectic and discombobulated, for lack of a better word, than it would have been in the past. It's not this nice, straight process like we would like it to be, but we're all just trying to adapt and do the best we can. So we're on top of those things, and if your house isn't completely painted at the same time, we know that, we're aware of it, and we're just trying to go ahead and use the painters while we have them, and make sure that we can bring in the next contractor. Because when we do our scheduling for work, we try to build in periods to fix things, but what we don't want to do is, if it can't get fixed in that time period where we had it scheduled, we don't want to lose the contractor that we already have booked to do the next phase. So if it's at all possible for that next phase to happen, we're going to go ahead and give them go, and then come back and finish up for everything that's missing.
Yeah, and saying all this to say thank you, Don. When you drive up, maybe you haven't seen your house in a week or two, you drive up there on a Saturday and you see that 2/3 of the hardy plank on your board and bat is painted and 1/3 is not. You're like, what is going on? This looks sloppy. And agreed, it does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But the reality, we have been told by Sherwin-Williams and on across the state, we are out of that paint, like out of it. The raw materials come from Canada, and I'm like, it's weird, but
it's unreal. Yeah.
Yeah, and we wouldn't ordinarily want to leave a house like that, but in like Don said, in these kind of weird times, we'd rather let's keep it going as much as we can instead of shutting the job down and waiting, because we don't know when that might come. So, Alma, that thanks for asking the question. I do appreciate that, but right now it's pretty unpredictable. The builders are doing the best they can to keep customers up to date. But bear in mind, they're getting, second and third information from vendors and suppliers. Some of our vendors don't know that they're run out until they run out.
Right.
Now we've done a lot on the front end to try and secure a lot of the stuff, and our trade partners have been fantastic for us. I want to shout out to McCoy's in particular. They've gone out of their way to make sure that we have the things that we need to service our customers. Lumber, window, and even then, they're buying a whole lot more windows than we're buying, and they'll be told, it's 16 weeks backlog for such and such kind of window, and that's 4 months. That's a long time. So anyway, bear with us. You might see some unfinishedness out there. If you do, it's not because we're trying to do that or trying to irritate you. I promise.
Yes.
It's because we're taking stuff as we can get it. So great question.
Now, Laurie does say that it is worth the wait on the Stonemeter build, and Tilson did a great job on her home. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Sanford. I appreciate that.
Troy is asking, what is the concrete mix design you use? Also, how is concrete quality control handled? Do we have a lab that pulls cylinders and checks slumps? Mainly concerned about
slump. Okay, so let's talk about slump first for everybody. And it has nothing to do with baseball batting averages and not hitting for a long time. Like that is a slump. Legit. I spent most of my baseball career in a slump, which means that I had a very low batting average. But what he's talking, so Troy, typically our engineer calls for 3,000 PSI concrete. We typically order it just exactly like that, or we'll order 5-sack, which is the same thing, 3,000 or better. How's concrete QC handled? It's handled at the plant. And obviously we have our building superintendent, our builder on site the day of the pour. So they're there checking tickets. We have to sign off. Concrete plants and trucks have us sign off on their ticket. So it has the order how we ordered it. So we have that data. We have that information. We get invoiced that information. So we do not pull cylinders. Most of these concrete companies we've been using them for over 15 to 20 years in most cases. It's not really, this isn't something where they're going to risk their reputation on. What most people, Troy, concerned about is watered down concrete. Okay, so maybe we're running low, maybe we're going to need some more concrete, and let's water it down so it goes a little further. That's not something that we do. The engineer actually puts it in big letters on the engineering foundation design. You cannot water down the concrete. It's not to say you can't, as they're finishing it, you can use water sprinkled on the top to do the finish. But as far as mixing water in the concrete to make it go further, that's not something that happens. Slump is, if you could picture, everybody can picture like an orange construction cone, like a road construction cone, dunce cap kind of thing. Okay, so picture orange construction cone. If you were to fill that thing from the top with concrete, remember concrete is a mixture of materials. It's cement, it's aggregate, it's sand, it's all kinds of different things. So you put the concrete in that orange cone, and then you were to pull that cone off. Slump is how much the concrete settles down.
Okay.
Right? So if you can imagine kind of wet Play-Doh if it were to sit down. So anyway, typically it's like a 5-inch slumps, something like that is one way that's called out. We actually don't have it called out. Our engineers don't typically call out a slump. They call out a PSI, which will take care of that. But I've seen a lot. 5-inch slump is one that's pretty common. So basically that means that when you pulled that cone off, it would spread out only to about 5 inches, and it wouldn't keep going. So the wetter the concrete is, theoretically, it would keep spreading out right into a pool of a puddle, if you will. Like think Frosty the Snowman. The colder he is, the smaller the slump. The wetter he is, the larger the slump number. So anyway, that's what slump is. But yeah, QC, we rely on our building superintendent that's on site and on our relationship with the concrete supplier, the tickets that we have. Like I said, I mean, if something happens on the foundation, particularly because they know we're doing post-tension, if they're doing something weird with the concrete, it's going to show up when we start putting 30,000 PSI in both directions on those cables. It will manifest itself when that's happening. But that's not something that we've not experienced anything like that, Troy, in 20 years.
Okay. All right. Jesse is asking if they can put their handprints in the foundation.
Absolutely not. Oh, yeah, of course you can.
Yes, absolutely. You've got a couple places you can do that. You can do that on the porches. Is a good spot. And there's also, if you miss that and they didn't happen to pour the foundation for your HVAC system, you could do it there if they're doing that at a later date and you missed it the first time.
Good spot.
We also recommend writing on the framing.
Yes, that's one too. That's fine.
Cynthia is asking, what if the city of Dickinson wants the home to be built 5 feet off the ground? How would we do that?
Well, Cynthia, there's a couple of ways to do it. One way would be on a dirt pad. That's going to be kind of pricey. So you would need a 4-foot tall dirt pad and then a 12-inch tall slab on top of that. That would get you to 5 feet off natural ground if they'll allow that. They may not, because sometimes bringing in that dirt that displaces water, they don't. Some places won't let you do that. I don't know about the city of Dickinson this week because some of their rules change. The other way to do that would be on like a crawl space type of foundation system. We have been experimenting with those. Again, I say experimenting. In 90 years, we've done it all. Okay, we've done pilings, we've done crawl spaces, we've done stem wall, we've done slab on grade, we've done compacted pads. We have done all of them. Slab on grade is what we do most of the time, which would be on a pad in this particular case. We could look at stem wall construction or even a subfloor on a slab where what it'll depend on is how the city wants us to be able to convey water. I don't know why we're building 5 feet off the ground. If it's in the floodplain, sometimes they want water to be able to move or convey underneath the structure. So if it floods, they don't want the building to impede water. So in cases like that, we have to elevate the subfloor up. We can still build walls down below, but we have to have vents in the wall where water could pass through underneath the finished floor of the home. So that's another way we could do that. I think we are doing one like that out of our Katy location down south. So it depends is the answer. That's how it depends.
All right. Tanya's just letting us know that they're tuning in from
Awesome.
San Antonio, building in Spring Branch.
Ooh, Spring Branch is pretty.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
Jim is asking when are new floor plans coming out? And we should have some towards the end of next month.
Yeah.
Is my prediction. Will is asking, is a gas furnace option available for home heating?
It is. Yeah. Well, and I think you said you're building Grapeland earlier, so it'll need to be obviously either natural gas or propane. I don't know of a lot of natural gas availability, so you'd probably be dealing with propane, LP. And so we can do that with gas furnace and go from there.
Okay. Barbara is asking, are we able to separate gray water drain from septic, and what is the cost to do this? What is the specification list for the construction roads? It's just how wide and what material, and they're meeting with their road contractor on Friday.
Okay. So lots of questions there. First one, gray water stub out. Yeah. So the answer is yes, Barbara, we can do gray water stub out. I don't have an exact cost on that because it does vary based on where you're building and if the county will allow for it as well. So just because we can do it doesn't mean that we're going to be allowed to do it on the particular site. So what gray water is like, let's say washing machine, for instance, is a great example. Maybe this person doesn't want the washing machine water going into their septic system. And so you can put that gray water. That's known as gray water because it's not sewage. It's not sewer water. So it's what's known as black water. You can stub that out to a separate gray water tank, gray water stub out location, and you don't have that water going into your septic system. I will tell you, Barbara, most septic systems today, they are designed to handle the load of the house. The aerobic septic systems that we're seeing installed pretty well across the whole state are being designed based on the number of bedrooms, not the number of bathrooms. They do count the number of bathrooms, but they mainly do it based on number of bedrooms. So let's say because you could have a 7-bedroom house with 1 bathroom, you still could potentially have 7 people living in there using the bathroom, generating that much water, like dishes, showers, laundry. So they design it based on number of bedrooms, and they calculate how many gallons per day that a household could be using in that situation. And they design the system to handle that based on the percolation test of the soil. So they'll go out and they do their own little soil test. It's not quite as invasive as the one that we do for the foundation, but they basically just go out and say, hey, how well just like coffee percolates through a filter. They're looking at how water percolates through this particular type of soil. So the more clay, for instance, you have, the less it percolates because we use clay to hold things like coffee. Whereas sand percolates very, very well. So in a case like that, they would design a surface application aerobic system most of the time, or some type of drip, subsurface drip irrigation system, where it would be handling whatever it is, 300 gallons a day, 500 gallons a day, 750 gallons a day, depending on the size of the home, number of bedrooms, and the way the soil is, how much surface application the sprinklers need to apply on the top to handle that. So all that to say, it's very rare we see gray water stubs done now. I used to see them a lot up until about 12, 15 years ago. But if you're just worried about your septic system being able to handle it, unless you're washing one article at a time, in which case that might be a problem. But if you're doing regular loads of laundry, using the house on a regular, shower daily for whatever reason, things like that, like you're probably going to be just fine without doing gray water, but it can be done.
Okay.
Construction drive.
Construction drive.
It's okay. So no less than 12 feet wide. Ideally, it has a crown in the middle so that it sheds water. Ideally, if we can get swales on the side, so like a place for water to run. I don't know how flat your land is. I don't know how much water it holds. Maybe you have no problem. But there's not really a list, but some type of rock, it would be ideal, either crushed limestone or crushed concrete. So don't just dump clay or dump sand out there and call it good. We want some type of rock out there. Ideally 4 inches thick of it. So that would be ideal, 4-inch thick rock. And it can be rolled and compacted even with the dump truck that's coming in. So as the guy's working the road, I don't know what kind of equipment he's using, but let's say he's using a skid steer or a bulldozer. As he's working it in, the next truck that comes and dumps the next load of rock, they can drive right over the top of what he's doing, and that the weighted dump truck alone is enough to help pack that in.
Okay.
And so you dump the next load, the guy's working that while he's waiting on the next load to come, and they run over what he's done. It's packed, and you go from there. So 12 feet wide, 4-inch thick, crown in the middle. You should be good.
And not your final pretty driveway, because
Right.
our truck, the heavy equipment is going to tear it up a little bit. So plan on coming back and putting another layer of pretty on top.
That's right.
We'll compact it really well for you by the time we're done.
It will be packed, yes.
Jerry is asking, what are the biggest challenges we are facing right now as far as could cause delays? So today is July 13th, 2021. What are today's problems?
Labor. Today's number one problem is labor availability of skilled labor, Jerry. So great question. I actually went to look at a new product this morning. This is kind of a funny story. I was called by a friend of mine. He wants to come look at this product that they're using, because again, everybody's looking for solutions. So I drove out to look at this particular product. It's kind of a stucco-ish kind of product. And they were going to be out there today and working and all this stuff. And it was like 20 minutes from my house. I drive out there. I go in. It's a gated community, very posh.
Fancy.
Yeah. I felt like a fish out of water. So anyway, we go in there, and I get out of the truck, and he's like, the crew didn't show up. The crew's not here. This is not a Tilson site, by the way. It's not a Tilson job. And he feels awful. And I'm like, dude, this is sadly, this is and he's not in the construction business per se. Like, he's not in the home building business. He does more commercial, and he does this product that he's thinking about selling. And all that to say, Jerry, that's happening all over the place. And this was in like just outside the Woodlands between Tomball and like Klein. We're not talking about out in the middle of nowhere. Like, this is in the mecca of where stuff is happening on the north side of Houston. So they're having a problem getting skilled labor because there's so much demand. There's so many homes being built. And that's the biggest delay that we're facing, is we're having to wait. Where we used to have to wait maybe a week or two on a framing crew, we may have to wait 6 to 8 weeks on a framing crew. Where we used to have to wait, 2 or 3 weeks on a foundation contractor to get the stuff, we may have to wait a month and a half or 2 months. So that's the most frustrating part for us. And like Don was saying earlier, the secondary to that is stuff just not showing up. Weird stuff not showing up that we never used to have issues with, like enough gallons of paint to paint the house. And, we ordered 26 windows for a house and 23 show up. And the other 3 will come sometime later. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's really driving the builders crazy. I'm talking about the project managers, the guys out there running the job for you, scheduling this stuff. I mean, they are used to being in total and absolute control.
Yeah.
And this is infuriating to them and to the customers. And we know that. And so that's what part of the reason we do these videos, is to try and help let you know that you're not alone in this.
Or
even your build, whether you're using Tilson or not, your builder's probably not ignoring you. They're not as good as we are, probably, but they're not ignoring you. I promise they're not. They should be telling you some of these things, but man, it's tough out there. It's really tough. But skilled labor is the number one problem. And by the way, that problem is not going away in the next year or 2 or 3.
Yep. All right. Tanya's asking, we're still in drafting and awaiting our plans. We're thinking about pre-plumbing for a gas cooktop and oven in case we install a propane tank in the far future. Is that considered a structural change?
So no, Tanya, that would not be considered a structural change to put some gas stubs.
Okay, perfect. All right. Crystal is saying, building in Conroe, Texas. Framing has started. Rain is slowing us down a bit, but super excited. Can't wait till our home is complete.
Awesome, Crystal. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the update too. And yes, it's raining in Conroe for sure.
Yes. James is under contract in Burnett. Looking forward to next steps.
Awesome. Thanks, James. Thanks for watching too.
Yeah. And let's see, Jerry's saying, also, we have had to change the design of our home due to the white brick we selected becoming unavailable. What is the possibility of a material like that coming back? And are there any others facing this? Yes, there are others facing this. I am going to knock on everything because I haven't seen this has been canceled email in the last week. I would say in the near future, and I'm talking by near future, I mean the next 3 to 4 months, I don't see anything that's been discontinued coming back at this point. The white brick that you're referring to is not one that they designated as permanently gone, but they are focusing on their most popular colors because of what happened. That the brick production was complicated even more by the freeze. Because those kilns are very, very hot, and they're usually brought down from the really, really hot temperature in a controlled manner and once a year. And all of a sudden, surprise, your kilns are off. So I'm sure it made a huge mess. I can't imagine. So it took them, Eric, like 2 months to get everything cleaned out and get brick production going again. And that was the Acme plants here in Texas were some of the few that were still actually producing bricks. So they were seeing increased demand from customers to begin with, and then supply cut off. So yeah, unlikely that material is coming back.
And then our supplier, Acme's been very good about letting us know, like, hey, there's this much of it left, or this is not coming back, or this will come back, but we don't know when, or this is absolutely not coming back. So that, and then unfortunately, that's one that they're like, maybe, but not right now.
Not right now.
Great question. Thanks, Jerry.
See, I think Benford's offering advice on how to put together your site plan.
There you go.
So good tip. Alma's building a new Caney.
All right. Eastern Montgomery County. We like it.
Daisy is asking, do you have to have pre-approval before signing your contract?
I'd recommend it, Daisy. Yeah, I mean, you kind of want to know what you're getting into. Have some kind of conversation about it. We actually have lenders that we can put you in touch with to make that happen. And usually, it takes less than 48 hours to get a good solid pre-approval for you. But yeah, I think it's a good healthy conversation to have before you sign a contract.
Okay. Courtney's asking if we know the estimated cost for a dog wash station.
So I did phone a friend when I saw that one pop up. And I'm gonna blame Hunter Sonnen, our VP of Sales for one of our regions, and he's saying, of course, his first question is how big.
How big?
typical Tilson answer, like I don't know, it depends. But
how big? What size tower has?
3 foot, about 3x3 or maybe 3x4, you're probably talking $1,200 to $1,500. And that's because you got to have of course drain, you got to have plumbing to go to it to supply that, and then the tile work around it, a curb, and all that kind of good stuff. So. And he says, tell Facebook we're very dog friendly.
Yes. We love dogs almost as much as we love cows.
Maybe he said we're not dog friendly. I don't know. Texts are so weird. Texts are hard.
Pretty sure he said we're dog friendly.
Thank you, Hunter.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter. Benford is asking, is there any financial benefit for the customer to have Tilson get the driveway installed? Is there economy about scale? Not talking about the initial culvert, but just the driveway.
Okay, great question. So there's, as far as financially, probably not. Other than we're going to make sure it's done right the first time. So as long as your contractor does it perfectly right the first go round, then you're probably fine. If it's not, you've just lost any cost savings you may have had because you're going to be doing it again. So there's not a lot of money in dirt and rock and diesel. It's not a place where it's not a profit center by any means. So that's not some place that we're able to make money anyway. So there's not enough meat on the bone. So there's not a big steep discount for us to do it. But you do have the peace of mind knowing that if it's done and it's not done right, we will not be coming back to you to say, hey, our driveway didn't work out like we thought it would. Why don't you give it a go and not give your money back? Like, that's not going to happen. We will hammer the contractor because we're going to vet a good one who does a good job and will want to do a good job. Like Daniel Dean, we had him before, or Justin Lackey, or one of those guys that for sure are going to do good work. They want to keep doing our work. There's a relationship there. They know this is not going to be the only deal they do. So that's just the thing to think about. Is you could be the only deal they're doing. Rephrase that. This is a one-time deal for you. They know that you're not going to be a repeat customer over and over to get driveways put in. So,
okay, that makes sense. Brandon is asking about the price range for adding a 2-car garage.
It could vary quite a bit, Brandon. I'd figure somewhere between $45,000 and $65,000, depending on the floor plan, what elevation it is, because it's going to depend on like if it's brick, is it hardy, is it stone, is it stucco, how does the garage attach? Is there a bunch of offsets on it? Has it got a gable on the front? Is that a dormer? So somewhere between $45,000 and $65,000 today.
Okay. All right. And question about how far is the septic tank normally located from the house?
It's usually 10 or 15 feet away. I've seen it kind of as far as 20, not typically much further than that, but typically 10 to 15 feet away from the home is where the septic tank is located.
All right. And a question about whether we can build a home on my land with 2 homes already on the land.
Potentially. So potentially that could be up to, if there's a lien on the property, if you still owe on the land, or if you're still paying on one of the 2 homes that's on the land, that's where it could get kind of sticky, because that lien holder is going to want to know what in the world are you doing building another house? What's your plan here? Are you run an Airbnb business? Like, what's the deal? So they will have a say. They may not have the final say, but they will definitely have a say. If the land is totally paid for and the home's on that are already paid for, there's no lien encumbrances or anything like that, you don't owe anyone any money on it, then in a case like that, if you're getting a loan for the new home, they may have something. They may say, yeah, you're going to have to cut an imaginary line. You can only have one single family residence on a piece of collateral property. That's a Fannie Mae guideline. Okay. So that's a federal, and all the mortgages our guys do are federally backed. We don't have any of this hocus pocus weird investor mortgage. All of ours are able to be sold on the secondary market. They're Fannie Mae guideline loans, like they're government backed loans. So they have to follow those guidelines. Now, if you're paying cash, no problem. Doesn't matter. But if you're getting a loan, the lender will probably want, sometimes they can qualify one as like a second, like a guest house or a casita, something like that. But that will ultimately be up to the lender if you're getting a loan.
Okay. Makes sense. All right. Mark is saying, good afternoon. I met with Tom and our builder, Chris, this past Friday. Very satisfied with the inspection. Question, the Manual J report came back, and after reviewing the report and talking to the contractor, I may want to upgrade to a variable 2-stage system. What would I be looking at in cost to upgrade to a 2-stage system, if any?
Yeah, Mark, I don't have the number on going up to a variable stage compressor is what you're talking about, I would imagine. But I would imagine that Chris or Tom can get you a price on that. It is going to change a little bit the obviously the model, the equipment that we're going to be using, what type of Linux we're going to be using. But yeah, I don't have the cost offhand, man, because I don't know what size it is, and we can get it.
All right. Will is asking, is there a required wrapping of the brick or stone veneer over the hardy plank when you turn the corners?
So it's never going to be wrapped over the hardy. It'll be instead of the hardy. But yes, when you put brick or stone across the front elevation of a home, you don't want to just stop it at the front. Like, we're going to want to wrap it, kind of come around that corner about usually 2 or 3 feet to make sure that you've got a way to finish that corner. Just stopping brick right there, you got to figure out how kind of trim piece to do. It doesn't turn out very attractive at all. And so we would just do the brick or stone across the front, go about 2 or 3 feet down the sides, and then stop it there and break it, so that when you're looking at the front of the home, you're not looking at some kind of weird piece of trim that we've done. But it doesn't go over the hardy. It's instead of the hardy. So Great question, Will.
All right. Don has a question about PSI in the foundation. Videos I've watched on tensioning cables have pulled 5,000 to 6,000 PSI. Does Tilson pull that much more to get to 29,000 PSI?
Yeah, you need to watch our videos, Don. So when we do a post-tension foundation, those cables are pulled to about 30 to 31,000 PSI by the time they're released to let the little thing suck in. It ended up being about 29,000 PSI on each cable. So both directions on the house, left to right and front to back.
All right.
Or right to left, back to front, your choice.
Sure. He was asking, when will the Rockwell interactive floor plan be available? I am hoping to have it for everybody by the end of next week. I got the changes back and just need to take a look and make sure everything's good, and then we can get it launched.
Wonderful.
Soon.
Thanks, you.
Right. Amy's asking if she wonders if the system could also support someone living in a fifth wheel close to the home.
If you'll tell the septic designer that you're going to plan on doing that, then yes. If they, in other words, if they can design for it, then you're usually good to go. If they don't know, then they were not going to design for that, but it would be the equivalent of adding, probably a bedroom or two onto it. It's not a huge deal.
Okay. Emily is asking, since there's so many supply delays, wondering how long the contract price is good for. I feel like we will be pushing a year from signing before our house is finished.
Well, yeah, that's what we're telling people. So we're telling people, no less than 12 to 14 months. And we've been saying that since March of last year, March of 2020.
Yeah.
And we are hitting those timeframes. We are closing houses that have been out there, 12 months since March, since COVID kicked off. Now, once we start construction, it doesn't matter. Your price is locked in. And actually, all along the way, as long as you're meeting the obligations that are in the owner's responsibilities and not making changes where we're having to redraw the plans, then the price is good. The only time the price is going to have to be increased is if we see that, hey, it's been 2 months and your property's not cleared. It's been 2 or 3 months and there's no construction drive in. We can't get into the soil samples. It's been, 3 months and we don't have loan approval on you. Like what that's when we can't hold these prices indefinitely because our vendors can't hold their prices indefinitely to us. If we cut a PO, if it goes 60 or 90 days, they're going to make us recut the purchase order. So that's the deal. The contract is good as long as you are meeting the owner's responsibilities, which are clearly laid out in our agreement. And as long as you're not making changes that we're having to go back and redraw the plans over and over. That's where we usually find that deals are stalling.
Okay, makes sense. And so Daisy's asking, I read that the prices of wood are dropping. Do we anticipate it affecting home prices dropping?
No. So yeah, lumber prices, everybody probably saw lumber prices dropped last week. Hallelujah. That's great. Here's the deal. I had a pretty graph pulled up, Don. You see this?
You did.
All right. So this, we got to give credit, NASDAQ.com. I don't want NASDAQ coming after me. So here is March of 2020, March 18th, 2020. Lumber, and this is futures, by the way. We'll explain that here in a minute what that means. But lumber futures, this is, so everybody can see, this is lumber. So here's what it was, kind of bumping along in normal land. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. All right, so here's March. We're at 320. Yep, it went stupid, and it's still at 820. It is still more than it's 100% more than it was a year ago. So what does that mean? Well, that means, so as builders were increasing their prices, nobody got to this.
Right.
No builders got up here. We were chasing the price. Nobody ever got to here, which is good because, builders may have gotten to like here-ish with increasing their prices because what else was happening? Well, we had other things going up. So let's do this one. Let's I have another one to share. Let's share Chrome tab of steel, for instance. Let's look at steel. What was steel doing? While everyone was paying attention to lumber, the steel industry was like, no one's paying attention here. Here's May of 2020. Steel, you're about $3,600. This is rebar, okay. And then it went completely stupid also. Okay, so it went from 3,500, let's say, to right at 6,000, and now it has settled.
Just a little
It's
increase.
settled at 5,000. Okay, so it's up whatever 50%. Now let's look at another one. Let's look at copper, so that everybody can check that out as well. And these are just three little components, guys. And I'm doing this to illustrate. So copper. Here was copper March of 2020, 217. And I'm giving credit to macrotrends.net. Copper prices, 45-year historical chart. I've shrunk it down to spare you the 45-year history. 217, and now it's 100% higher, over 100% up. Mm-hmm. So all that to say this. Lumber's still up over 100%. Steel is up 60%. Copper is up over 100%. And those are just three components. That has nothing to do, like drywall is still up. I have another exercise if we have time, but we're going to run out of time, but I'll save it for another day. But all that to say, and what's not mentioned in any of these graphs that I just showed you is labor.
Right.
So what we were paying to get a home, let's just say framed a year and a half ago, that has also gone up 100%. And that's the part that's not stopping. So while everyone was paying attention to lumber and how much lumber went up and yay, lumber's come down, well, that's good because lumber was up almost 300%. So it came down. Now it's only up like 150%, which is still nobody caught up to that number.
Right.
And it is not going to come down as fast as it went up. Why is that, Dawn?
Well, because the whole supply chain thing. So that lumber price that they're talking about, it's actually not even real prices. It's lumber futures. So it's what a bunch of people sitting in an office are predicting lumber is going to sell for. And that's what it's selling for to the wholesaler who has already bought it when the lumber was up here. And that's what's being sold out through the supply chain. And no one's going to sell the lumber for less than they paid for it, just because that's bad business. So it's going to take a while before any decrease in lumber price actually gets realized by us, the end user. So it'll be a minute before you guys see any changes. If you walk into a McCoy's and you look at the price of lumber and you try to buy anything wood, it's still way up there. It's going to be for a little while. So we're glad, like, lumber futures coming down is a sign that prices might start to stabilize, but it's not actually a reflection that what we are paying is any less than it was before.
Right. So you know, and by the way, the lumber prices that you saw that were reported to have come down, and like Don said, those contracts are just now starting to work their way out. It had nothing to do with sheet goods. That's dimensional lumber, so like 2x4s and 2x6s. OSB, plywood, all of that is still way up where it peaked. It has not come down at all. So, and again, all the vendors and labor and other suppliers that have been kind of having to play second fiddle to lumber because it was the loudest and most crazy increase according to the news, they've all been clamoring for increases. And now that lumber is starting to stabilize, they're all saying, okay, we've waited 7 months to increase your prices. Now that's going up. Your copper's going up. Your steel's going up. Your drywall's going up. Your labor to get me to go here is going up. Mileage is gasoline is going up because inflation is going up. So gas and diesel is going up. So they're charging more for travel. So the prices of homes are not going to come down anytime soon. And so that's I know it's probably not what everybody wants to hear, but that's reality. I don't want to paint.
It's the truth. Okay. All right. So Kirk is sharing that they moved into their Tilson home 5 years ago on the 4th of July in 2016. Been pretty happy so far. Awesome. Thanks. And Amy is asking, how soon, once you come to look at the land to see where to build, does construction start?
Amy, it's still a couple months. It's still usually 2 to 4 months, depending on where you're building, what needs to be done based on the site evaluation. Because we still have to do your soil tests. We still have to do engineer foundation designs. We still have to get the septic designed and all the permits and all that stuff going. So it's not anytime soon after that site evaluation.
Okay. Christy is asking, how much does a slope ceiling typically add to the cost of the home?
Christy, it depends on the plan, but anywhere between $4,000 and probably $10,000, depending on what all we're entailing in the slope ceiling. Is it in a bedroom? Is it in the family room? Does it have is it cathedral? Is it just slope? Does it have wood beams? So, but a design consultant can tell you exactly how much on whichever plan you're looking at.
Okay. All right. Diana is asking about septic systems and whether they're included. Saying that in Weatherford they were told no, but in one of the videos heard us say that we do take care of septic systems. So they're building in Iraq.
How does it work, Dawn?
So it is not included in the base prices that you see on our website. So we don't include it in standard because some people want to do it themselves. And also we don't know exactly what the requirements are going to be for the septic system on your particular land. But it is absolutely something that we can add in to the cost of your home and that we can take care of for you. It's just not included in that initial price that we're giving to you. But they should in Weatherford be able to help you out with pricing on going ahead and adding the septic system. So I guess what the hang up is probably the word included. Because it is an additional cost for us to take care of that for you.
And where you probably saw that it could have been, Diana, was in, if we're talking about Texas Grand Ranch or Republic Grand Ranch, some of these communities that we are, like we have the pricing for the total 100% turnkey completion. Mm-hmm. It is included in those prices when you go into the design center. So if you were to go into Texas Grand Ranch or call one of our design centers and said, I'm building in Texas Grand Ranch, that price is going to include the septic. It's also going to include a driveway. It's also going to include landscaping and irrigation and all kinds of stuff. So it's very site specific.
Yeah, but if you get on our website and you just look at the county that Texas Grand Ranch is located in, that's not in the pricing. It would have to be pricing that you got directly from one of our consultants.
I apologize that Dawn misspoke. That's all I could
do. Jesse is asking, do we advise getting loan approval prior to signing a contract?
Pre-approval, yes, Jesse. You won't be able to get full loan approval until after the contract because they need a copy of the contract and they need the plans and a map so they can do the appraisal. But certainly a pre-approval would be in order. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Martina is asking, is there anything in the works to have a digital rendering of a basic kitchen and bathroom to see color options together, similar to elevation colors in the virtual tour?
You mean again, like we used to do?
Yes, I know. We had it years and years ago and nobody liked it. We are working on it right now. I'm kind of talking to different vendors to try to figure it out because I like the system and I like the concept, but it's a lot of times kind of the way that they render those things out aren't actually really indicative of what it's going to look like at the end. So I'm trying to find the right solution. In the meantime, we are working on expanding our database of the photography that we can offer so we can actually show you that. So I've got that on the roadmap for our website for early next year to actually have more pictures and more options so that you can see them real life photography rather than trying to render it together, which isn't necessarily predictable.
Truth.
Yes. So Peter is asking, is the cost of trenching water and electricity calculated differently in the hill country? I noticed my salesperson gave me a credit, then charged for trenching in rocky terrain.
That's right, Peter. So yes, the answer is yes. It depends on the hill country. And actually it depends on even where in the hill country. So, but basically, yeah, we do have a price for just doing trenching for water or electrical on a site for in dirt. And then we also have a separate price for doing it where there's rock encountered. And that's rock encountered anywhere on the property. So in other words, at any point, if the electrician or plumber or whoever's going to have to bring out a rock saw to trench, that's where the price changes. Great question.
Okay. Great. We actually haven't been talking to Will's wife. To Will, we've been talking to his wife, Tina. I just want to say how nice it is to have this opportunity to ask our questions and hear your so thorough explanations. Thank you. That's why we do this. We believe a educated customer is a happy customer, and we just really want to give you guys all the information and be very transparent with you guys on what's going on right now. So thank you.
Go Grapeland Sandies. Let's go get them.
Awesome. Jerry wants to give a shout out to Shelly Laird in the Waxahachie office. She's a magician with helping us realize our dream on the front planning end. Awesome. We will pass that along.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. All right. This is the last question I see. So if you guys have any more, start typing. Amber is asking, how soon does the site evaluation happen after you sign the contract? Went under contract at the beginning of June and have the design appointment complete. Was told we were going to call the schedule and the site evaluation, but that's about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, Daniel, let us reach out to your sales consultant Danielle and find out what's going on with that. I don't know, without looking at the file, if we have a survey and we have a map and the property can be accessed, then the site evaluation should have been ordered. So It typically can happen a couple of 3 weeks is usually 3 to 6 weeks, depending. I mean, you're building in a hot area. So there's a lot of activity going on, and that's okay. But yeah, 3 to 6 weeks is pretty much. So you're approaching that 6 week mark where we should be having that done. Right now. We can reach out to Danielle and make sure that's moving.
See what's going on. And that is it. That's all the questions I see.
Awesome. Well, man, and it's 3:00 on the nose. So anyway, we really appreciate everyone watching. Thank you all so much for your questions, for watching, and for those of you who are customers for trusting us. We know that this is a very interesting time. There can be a lot of uncertainty. Obviously, the greatest fear that people encounter is the fear of the unknown, and there's a lot of that going on right now. So you're working with a reputable company. If you're working with a reputable company, you're going to be okay. That's we want to make sure that even if it feels like nothing's happening, something is happening, even if that something just means we're waiting. And we're going to do the best we can to be sure you guys are updated on that. I know we fall short sometimes, and for that I'm sorry. But we are going to do more right than we do wrong, and nobody's going to get hurt going with Tilson Homes. That I can assure you. So anyway, thank you, Dawn, for putting this on. Appreciate it as always. And if you guys, ma'am.
Thank you so much for doing it.
Yeah. Any parting words of wisdom that you have?
No parting words of wisdom. We did have one last question sneak in if you want to answer it.
Yeah.
We're asking, you remember he's putting in his own electrical shop. He's wondering if we can run the electric and plumbing to the shop, or should that be done by someone else?
I'd recommend it be done by someone else. Yeah, because and on the plumbing especially, I don't know if you're doing just a water, or if you're have a bathroom or something like that out there as well, because you'll need to let the septic guy know about that, so it can be on the design, so the county can approve it. And then I'd recommend getting we certainly, who else is going to need to know those? Your power company, whoever your power provider is, that you're planning on having, a shop building type in addition to the home, because we'll make sure we have a big enough service. A 200 amp service is probably not going to be sufficient. You'll need a 320 or even 400 amp service to be able to push all those buildings. So that's something. And then you can. I mean, obviously, you can have an electrician run it. You're welcome to approach our electrician for that portion of it if you want to do that. But as far as us hooking up into that building, having not built the service or anything on that, or run the electrical inside it, we wouldn't be comfortable with Tilson hooking up into that. So, great question. 320 volt, 1 meter. That's probably sufficient. Yeah, let the electrician know that that's what you're doing, and just go out to both. So anyway. So thank you guys for watching. Obviously, we have all of our locations are open 7 days a week. And I know we're doing some remodeling and construction on some of them, so bear with us.
Georgetown is closed tomorrow. They're taking their electricity out as part of the renovation, so they'll have no power. So don't go to Georgetown tomorrow, but then they'll be back up and running Thursday. Yes,
they will. We've got plans for a new location well underway, so that's exciting. So more exciting about that later. Our replacement model in San Marcos is being permitted as we speak down with the city of San Marcos, so that's moving along. And so all locations are open, all 11, 7 days a week. We have our website that's there for you guys, always open. We welcome you at the front door of our website all the time. Lots of information there that Dawn and her team have put there. We also have a YouTube channel. We have obviously a Facebook page, and we just love to hear from you. Ask questions, reach out, stop by, get a cup of coffee, bottle of water, and we'll help you the way we can. And at the end of all this, we want to put you in a beautiful home on your land. So we hope to soon make you part of the Tilson family. Y'all have a great afternoon. See you.
Bye, everybody.